This is the Angels POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Los Angeles Angels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, Halo Nation. Hello, Halo hopefuls, and welcome back to the latest edition of the Locked On Angels POSTCAST. Coming at you live, as always, after every single Angels game, right here live on the Locked On Angels YouTube channel, and after the fact, both on the channel and wherever the heck you get the Locked On Angels audio podcast feed. If you don't know who I am, what's going on, everybody? My name is Gavin Carlson, former credentialed journalist in the LA area, spent 4 years covering UCLA sports with the Daily Bruin, now in year 2 with the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Our team is the Angels, and unfortunately, the Angels had a nice opportunity here today to pick up a series win in a 4-game series against Houston, but they fell short. You got a pair of home runs in this ball game from Zach Neto and Joe Adell. Adell with a phenomenal performance, 2 RBIs, 2 hits for him. A couple other guys got hits as well. This was not a bad game from the Angels offensively. 3 runs underwhelming, 7 hits average. It's an average offensive performance, but the pitching, after what we saw yesterday with Jose Soriano, after a couple of games where the pitching has been better, it was not good enough today. And it's concerning when it's your ace, Yusei Kikuchi, and it's concerning when it is one of, if not your best reliever in the last couple of months in Brock Burke. That's what's disappointing about this one. But as people are pointing out in here, it's also, we're not going to roast a Brock Burke for his lack of a stellar performance today because he has been great. But still, it was disappointing that you don't win this game. It would have been really nice to pick up a series win in Houston, given what happened yesterday with Taylor Ward, given that you're playing the Houston Astros and that they are in a playoff seeding race. It would have been nice to play spoiler to those darn Houston fans. But before we jump into this one, shout out to everybody in here. Some familiar faces today on this Monday, this Labor Day. Hope you're having a nice day off. But yeah, Mahoko, Brian, John, Vinny, my guy in here, David, Jim, Prince, Mahoko. I already said Mahoko, but shout out to all you and everyone else for being in here. And without further ado, let's get into it. I know people aren't going to expect this in an 8-3 ball game, but I do believe there was a turning point.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Angels were down 5-3 going into the bottom of the 8th inning, but Brock Burke comes into the ball game. He's been so stellar in recent games, and you kind of just expected him to have a solid inning, keep it a 2-run game, and give the Angels a shot, right? Give them a shot in the top of the 9th to maybe tie this ball game up. Unfortunately, that is not even close to what happened. Brock Burke comes in, replaces Zephyr John, a bunch of defensive changes. You've got Peraza moving to first and Rengifo moving to third. Chris Taylor stays in the game and goes to second. You have Scott Kingery in the game as well. Just a lot of moving cards going on in this one. Brock Burke comes in and unfortunately immediately falls behind in the inning. Cam Smith, such an impressive young player. You hate to admit it, but base hit from him. He immediately steals second. I know there was some debate there and if that should have been called a stolen base, but it is. Dubon pops out. Pena strikes out. You got it to 2 outs. A guy on second, but 2 outs. But man, this Astros lineup, it's deep. I know Alvarez has not played much this season. The stats aren't that great, but he's still one of the best hitters in baseball when he's healthy. And he comes through here with an RBI single. That made it 6-3. Then they pinch run for Alvarez. And ironically, it did and then didn't really matter because Jacob Melton does steal second base. Maybe that's bothering Brock Burke, but the moral of the story is Altuve takes Burke deep. 2-2 changeup. He hung it right down the middle, and Altuve got just enough of it to hit it out in super shallow left field. 374 feet is enough for a 2-run blast. That made it 8-3, and that was all she wrote in this game. And the reason that this hurts, right? It's not just 3 runs where the Angels could have had a shot to be down 2. Again, we laugh and joke about meaningful baseball and having competitive at-bats and all of that, but hey, 2-run deficit going into the 9th when they don't have a surefire closer would have been a nice opportunity to see if the Angels could have had a rally in the 9th inning, but Brock Burke gets blown up. And it's really unfortunate because he had been really, really good recently, right? And so it's disappointing, but you're not going to tear into him or anything. He's been very solid going into this start. And it's ironic too, this appearance. It's ironic too, it's the 1st of September. It's a new month, and he's coming off a great August. His first opportunity in September, it does not go well. He did not allow a run. 9 2/3 innings pitched, 0 earned runs or runs in general allowed in the month of August, right? So really impressive that ERA continued to drop. And even in the end of July, he had 3 straight starts without a run. He had I keep saying starts, but 3 straight appearances without a run. Did give up a run on July 23rd, but outside of that, did not give up a run since the 4th of July. So he's been phenomenal as of late, and we're not going to tear into him or anything. It was just disappointing that he wasn't able to come through, but still, he is not someone we're questioning if we want this guy on the roster next season. And that's what this last month of the season is all about, is seeing who belongs on this team next year. Brock Burke certainly does, right? He has been great. The ERA on the season is still 3.15, but in the last month and a half, it's been sub 1, right? So he belongs. Zephyr John, it was nice to see him have a scoreless inning because of how bad he's been. Chase Solseth just 1 out there. Not great, 2 walks and a hit. So that was a bit concerning, but he got bailed out or he didn't have much to do. And so that was okay. The biggest concern pitching wise, because Brock Burke is not a concern. Yusei Kikuchi, some people are going to make an argument it's starting to be a concern with him, and I wouldn't criticize you for saying that. The ERA has slowly crept up quite a bit. It's now 3.83. He's now 6-10, and in his last 7 games, the ERA is 5.84, right? So it's starting to be a trend. It's not just an occasional poor start from Kikuchi. It's starting to be a trend. At the same time, a guy like Jose Soriano is really settling down as we get towards the end of the season and has been impressive. Yusei Kikuchi is not. And Jose Soriano, you could make an argument he's already the best starting pitcher on the Angels. Kikuchi, 8 hits, 5 earned runs, gave up a home run. He had 2 walks as well, 6 strikeouts, but just too many hits, too many walks, and gave up a big fly. The game before that, one of his worst starts, actually his worst start as an Angel, where he gave up 6 runs against the Texas Rangers. So it's now back-to-back starts that have been the new worst starts in his time as an Angel. As polarizing as Kikuchi has been this season, some people saying he's been great and hasn't gotten a lot of help. Some people saying he's not been good enough. He had not given up 5 runs in a start until August 26th. Well, he gave up 6 runs on August 26th and then gives up another 5 earned runs today. So back-to-back starts that are his now worst 2 of the season and his worst 2 as an Angel. That is concerning. And it wasted what was a decent start, at least offensively, for the Angels, where they have a 3-run 4th inning. Unfortunately, if that's 3 runs when Kikuchi's pitching a little better and it's to, have a 3-1 or a 3-0 lead, I think Kikuchi calms down and probably gets a win in this one. But a 3-run top of the 4th made it 3-2 Angels, so he still didn't have much of a lead, and then he immediately threw that lead away, giving up another run in the 4th, another run in the 5th, and another run in the 6th inning. So Kikuchi not good enough, and the question becomes, who is the ace? Who's the opening day starter for the Angels next season? I think it might be Jose Soriano and not Yusei Kikuchi. We're going to take our break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the offense because there are a couple bright spots, including Joe Adell continuing to make the argument that he is not just having a fluky good season. He might just be an all-star level player in Major League Baseball at this stage in his career. We certainly hope that is the case. We'll talk about him. We'll talk about Neto, Mike Trout, and more after our break here on, unfortunately, a losing edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast. I'll be right back. Now, on this Labor Day, today's show is brought to you by Upside. Angels fans, are you still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code SEASON and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You could make it up to $300 a year just from buying the gas you already needed. At first, I thought it was too good to be true, but it's totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using my limited time promo code SEASON for a limited time 25-cent per gallon bonus. That's promo code SEASON. Now, offers vary by user and location, and go to upside.com for terms and conditions. Today's show also brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is almost here, and FanDuel's making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. You can't use it in California, but when I am in a state where you can, FanDuel, it's quick, it's easy. You can add a little more energy to your Sundays when you've got some stuff on the line. So are you ready to play? If so, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. And finally, today's show is brought to you by Prize Picks, the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right on those decisions, well, that means cashing in. With football back, Prize Picks is the simplest and fastest way to get on the action. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes all in less than 60 seconds. Prize Picks is legal in California. It's a lot of fun. Just pick more or less, whether you want to target superstars or, if you think ball, some underrated players as well. It's great. So download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Amen. Back here live on a losing edition of the Locked On Angels postcast. Angels 3, Astros 8. The Angels had a pair of home runs. The offense had a big 3-run fourth inning. Outside of that, they did nothing. But I think the biggest story is the starting pitching of Yusei Kikuchi not being good enough for the second straight start. The question is he even the ace? Is he even the opening day starter next season? I'd say I hope not, but not because of Yusei Kikuchi. I'm hoping the Angels go out and get a starter better than Yusei Kikuchi if they're really serious about making that playoff run next year. It feels like maybe we're targeting next year as the year where you finally go and do that. And I think you need a pitcher better than Yusei Kikuchi on this team in order to be good enough. Now, I think Jose Soriano can maybe next year take that final leap and already be better than Yusei Kikuchi. But for rotation strength sake, I think the Angels better go get a guy that's at least as good as Kikuchi and Soriano, maybe someone better. Then you have a 3 of whoever that starter is, Soriano and Kikuchi. And then the back half of the rotation, we know Tyler Bremner is probably going to be thrown in there at some point, whether we like it or not. And then you're going to have probably a stopgap fill-in starting pitcher the way Tyler Anderson or Kyle Hendricks was to be that 5th guy. I'm okay with having one of those, being the 5th guy. But you can't have 2, right? You can't have 2 stopgap guys. The Angels really had 2 stopgap guys as they're 3 and 4 this year, with the 5th spot just being an absolute free-for-all. So you need at least one big-time guy. David, you're certainly not wrong in saying that you probably need 2 starters. I just don't think the Angels go out and get 2 big-time starters. I think they go get 1. I think they eventually call up Tyler Bremner as well. Let's talk about the offense real quick, because we did have a huge 3-run 4th inning. And if it wasn't for Jose Altuve's 2 hits and 3 RBIs, probably making him the player of the game. Urias was also great for the Astros as well, with 2 hits, 2 RBIs as well. The player of the game for the Angels certainly was Joe Adell. And it started in the top of the 4th with his running mate, Zach Neto, who has his 25th homer of the year. That's such a great number. I think Neto can get to 30. That would be awesome. 30 for Zach Neto. He's already, arguably the best power hitting shortstop in the American League. But if you look at his stats on the season now, the guy has 24 stolen bases, 25 home runs. So he most likely will have a 25-25 season. He could have a 30-25 season if he can get a couple more home runs before the season ends. Only up to 60 RBIs. And I know some people are going to see that, but let's not forget the obvious context that is he is a leadoff hitter. So an 0-2 pitch, he gets a cutter. It's high. It's not a terrible pitch. And it's pretty impressive that he takes although they're calling it a cutter, but then they're saying that can't be right. An 80-mile-an-hour cutter, probably some sort of cut change-up type thing. But either way, top of the zone, he gets all of it to make it 2-1. Then 2 at-bats later, Mike Trout does get a single. Shout out to him. He's showing a little bit of life recently. And then Joe Adell absolutely crushes one to get him to get Trout in and give the Angels a brief lead. 31 home runs for Jo Adell. He might get to 35 by the end of the season, which would be amazing. 396 feet. He takes a 1-0 fastball and he just destroys it. It got a lot of the plate and he got all of it. I think that's the biggest change with Jo Adell is he's still going to give you those bad swings at sliders on the outside or, stuff like that. But when he sees a mistake, he takes advantage. And that's the biggest difference between him now and years in the past where occasionally he would take advantage. No, Jo Adell consistently takes advantage of mistakes. Now, the OPS up to 780 for him. Trout's up to 786 because he does have that hit there. And Zach Neto now has an 810 OPS with that home run. Travis d'Arnaud had a base hit in this one. Rengifo had a base hit in this one. But that was really it. Logan O'Hoppe with a pinch hit single as well. But that was all. The Angels, despite having 2 home runs, despite having a 3-run fourth inning, you somehow still only have 7 hits in the game. And there's not many teams that are going to hit 2 home runs in a ball game and only score 3 runs. But that's the Angels. 0 for 2 with runners in scoring position. They really didn't do anything else, unfortunately. But with all that being said, I think it's still a decent series, right? If you zoom out and say the Angels are going to split a 4-game set in Houston with how Houston has historically owned us, right? You will take that. The problem is you had an opportunity to pick up a series win and you were not able to. Now, 3 in Kansas City coming up Tuesday through Thursday, and then a 6-game homestand that starts against the A's, and then we host the Twins. If you're going to ask for my predictions, I do think between the A's and the Royals, there's going to be 1 series win in there. We were hoping the Angels could have gotten this series win against Houston because outside of that sweep against the Dodgers, the Angels have not won a series, right? So if you do the math, you skip the Houston series, that's a tie, right? But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 series in the month of August that the Angels lost, just 1 that they won, and then 1 that they pushed. So let's see if we can get a series win against the Royals in Kansas City. Not a great opponent, but not a bad opponent. I don't know. Certainly you think hosting the A's, that should be the one where we do it, but the A's have been playing us feisty lately. We'll see what happens there. But with all that being said, we're going to wrap this one up. Shout out to everybody in here. Appreciate you guys, as always. I know the vibes are a little bit low, but hopefully we can get a win tomorrow, start off a nice little streak here to end the month of September, or to start and end the month of September. I'd love to set a goal of let's have a winning record in the month of September, but when you've got 4 against the Mariners, 3 against the Brewers, and then you end the season with 3 against Houston, sure, you get the A's, you get the Royals in there, you get the Rockies in there, but it's going to be tough to have a winning record. I think that would be very impressive if you get a winning record in this month, but we'll see. The Angels record overall, 64-73. If I had to guess, I think the Angels get to maybe 72, 73, 74 wins. We'll see. But shout out to all of you. Appreciate all the kind words. Have a great rest of your Labor Day, enjoying the day off, and have a great rest of your week. We'll see you tomorrow night after that first game in Kansas City. Take care, everybody.